Ladies and gentlemen,
now tuned into the motherfucking greatest.
This is the Hype Reality Podcast.
Listen.
Hype-reality.com.
Listen, or I'll kill ya.
Hey, welcome to the latest edition of the Hype Reality Podcast. My name is Emilio, a.k.a. Triple D, a.k.a. Dominican Dirk Diggler, along with my co-host.
Ephraim.
First off, happy Martin Luther King Day to you guys celebrating it. Remember everything he fought for, and for you white people at your office, no black people around, celebrate. Let's get into some shit.
What in this batch of nominations really jumped out at you?
Well, I'm disappointed that the director of Selma, Ava DuVernay, did not get nominated because she would have been the very first African-American woman to be nominated in the directing category. And it was because David Oyelowo for Selma was also not nominated. This is a completely white 20 acting nominees.
Yeah,
an all-white group.
It's the second whitewash in the last 10 years or something like
Yeah.
that. Selma, hurt by the questions about its historical veracity raised against the scenes with LBJ, and also some potential problems maybe with, with getting the screeners out to various people.
It looks like last week they released a list of the Oscar nominees for the upcoming Oscars 2015. I can't put my finger on it, but it seems to be an obvious trend going on here. Looking at all these nice best pictures, best actor, best actress, supporting actor, best supporting actress. I can't put my finger on it. Do you see any problems with any of this? Being a black male, how do you feel about this?
I'm more surprised that this kind of stuff still gets press and people still care about it, to be honest. They did the elephant in the room. The black elephant in the room is Selma, which did get a Best Picture nod, but nothing else. Like you would think at the least, not the least, like you would think the director, black female director, would have got a nod with all the reviews and all the hype behind the movie and the great job she did, but nope.
It's I'm gonna butcher her name, Ava DuVernay. She would have been the first African-American woman to be nominated for Best Director. And if you saw the film screams like Oscar. That kind of sucks. I think they really pushed her twat in on that one.
Yeah, I feel like the Oprah's people, they kind of know what these guys like. She has that formula down.
Yeah,
like
she does.
How to get the white people to care about upstanding black people in movies. Like they got this from the Great Debaters into this shit. They got this shit down to a science. It's like she definitely picked up a lot from Steven Spielberg working on Color Purple or something.
I think I know what these white people like.
Basically,
it is funny because she tends to. Well, obviously they're usually all relating to race issues. Most of the films she incorporates herself with, but it seems like it's not always a home run, because Selma was a really good one, but look at The Butler or whatever, that shit had all these people in it, and that shit got double wood. That thing didn't do shit. You can't automatically get it. And I think it's crazy because even now she's putting herself in the films as well, which is another added bonus. I thought it was Color Purple, that was her film. That was the one thing she did, and then everything else she was behind the scenes. And then in The Butler, she was his wife or something. I didn't watch that shitty ass movie. But in this, and Selma, she was one of the people.
Well, The Butler definitely was by a lot of these publications or whatever, that was oh, this is so great. It obviously falls into that trap of subservient black roles for movies that people get all up in arms about. But
yo, why don't you get a different job?
But that's her. I think she figured that out really early on, especially when she tried to get more behind the scenes when trying to do her own network. Yeah, and this doesn't translate.
What does she do?
Even just fucking got to be up on there. She got to put her stamp on about literally being in it. Even in the little magazine she sells, she has to be on the cover in order to move that shit. That's kind of the limitations of her influence. She has to still be in that shit. It can't kind of live on its own.
Then she found out that white people and black people like Tyler Perry shit, and just had him write all of her shows now. And combination of that and just, I think she just she has a good job. She has a good team around her. So they pick these films almost immaculately. It's really well done. But I think I'm happy that they got something. Like Selma, when you watch the movie, like it screams Oscar. But like I think it also it puts you in as a older white individual, like it puts you in a weird spot. Like if I don't pick this, then I'm racist, or they're gonna think I'm racist. I probably am racist, but I don't want them to know I'm racist, kind of like situation. Right. It's kind of like I remember, what was it, like 2 years ago when Day-Lewis was Lincoln. You can't not give Lincoln a fucking Oscar. Like it doesn't matter who he was going against. Like that would be so un-American of you. They put you in these little like these awkward scenarios where you kind of have to, your back's against the wall. You got to react, and they didn't take the bait on this one. They didn't take the bait. Like anybody could have easily gave that guy Oyelowo, the guy that played Martin Luther, the Oscar for sure. Right. He did an amazing job. He played a character way out of his normal, roles. Like,
what was he in before?
I don't know where to begin. He was in a ton. I think he was. Oh fuck. He's in a lot of goddamn fucking movies.
Is it like the same guy from Jack Reacher? No, it's not him.
Yeah.
That's him?
Okay, cool.
Damn.
Yeah. Off the top, he was in Interstellar. He was in he was in The Butler. He was in Jack Reacher. He was in fucking Lincoln. He was in Red Tails.
Damn.
He's tried, man. Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, fuck.
He's tried every avenue possible, man. They won't give this man a fucking award. He was in The Help. Shit. He's tried, man. He's tried.
It's funny you mentioned the whole Abraham Lincoln thing, because I feel like the Selma thing not getting an Oscar snub is kind of fun, kind of ill-timed on their part, because now there's like this controversy that's brewing in certain circles about people getting butthurt essentially about the role Lyndon Johnson had in the movie.
I still have some real problems with the way it portrays Lyndon Johnson. What it says about his role is simply not true. It didn't happen.
They basically, I haven't seen Selma yet, so like basically from what I can gather, you've seen the movie, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. But basically, they say that like they kind of undermined Lyndon Johnson's role in the movie, and they basically made him seem like he was didn't care enough about the struggle, and now like they wanted to, he was so instrumental for getting laws passed, blah blah blah. Don't get me wrong, he definitely referred to black people as niggers and shit, but he wasn't as bad as you made him seem in that movie. He should have a bigger part, and he's supposed to be historical, and you guys are shitting on him, blah blah blah. And it was like, and that kind of after a while, after the initial reviews of the movie, that kind of became the dominating press surrounding it, and people kind of put the directors back against the wall, having to defend her choices, which I thought was kind of whack. But I felt like if they would have had Daniel Day-Lewis, whatever, like have like play Lyndon Johnson and give him a 5-minute monologue in the movie, and just to show how good white people are, like they definitely would have gotten picked up, like definitely would have gotten nominated. Definitely would have quelched a lot of these people's anxiety over this film. But from what I've heard, like in other ways they've tried to do that. They tried to basically make this seem like not just a movie about Martin Luther King, but a movie about like people moving together in the struggle, and all types of people, white people, black people, all coming together.
I would go with the struggle, like more than anything. A little tidbit. I thought the one thing that caught me off guard was that they had Lyndon Johnson played by Tom Wilkinson, who's a like fucking highly respected UK actor. He's been in a ton of fucking movies. But I thought that was very odd. They had Tim Roth, who's another non-American actor, playing George Wallace of motherfucking Alabama, or what the fuck was it? Georgia or some shit. I was like, that caught me very off guard. But the thing about Lyndon Johnson, like Elise Wilkinson's portrayal of him, it was like he was put in between a rock and a hard place. Like he wanted to make these certain moves, but he knew this all-white Senate or this all-white Congress was not going to vote or let this shit happen. You get me? Like, there's like, there's a fucking branches of the government, blah, blah, blah. Like, he really played into that. Like, whenever he'd have a conversation with Martin Luther King, he's like, hey, man, you guys need to get the fuck off that bus. And he's like, hey, man, I'll get off this bus once these voting rights are cool. He's like, I can't do that. They won't let me. He's like, okay, well, we're going to go back on these buses. Motherfucker, man. Like, that was like, he was always in like this rock and hard place. You could tell that he didn't exactly agree with how Martin Luther King was doing things by any stretch of the imagination, but he did see the bigger picture. And then eventually, because of these actions and the way that Martin Luther King was addressing these issues, approaching these issues, he eventually folded or whatnot. And so it's kind of hard for, I don't know, man. By no means was he a champion of the fucking people. I'll tell you that. It wasn't like, you know what? You are right. They should vote and they should get the same bathrooms. They should. No, it was just like, fuck, man. I know what you're saying and I get it, but we can't do it. Like, get that through your thick skull.
I just had a picture of the whole Django thing with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like,
but
no, I think like it's funny because again, I think the whole like talking about Hollywood and these roles and the fact that I was missing that kind of white savior thing, you know, definitely played a part into it. Like, it's no Mississippi Burning or some shit like that. It's no like
there was no Matthew McConaughey and Time to Kill.
Like, yeah, exactly. I'll come together moment or whatever.
There's no Brad Pitt in 12 Years a Slave or something like the cool white guy. Like, hey man, I get you Negroes. We cool. Man, I sure do like fried chicken. Oh man. Like, but like I don't want to like seem like that's like Selma didn't get all the you know all the accolades that should have accompanied the film. Like, I think that was a miss on their part. But also I just don't. I think it should just be. You should get the best movie. Should get all the attention, get all the awards. Like, you got to think about this is a fucking award show for millions and millions of dollar earners to award themselves even further, like onto their masses and all that shit. So for people to be really up in arms about it, like, yeah, well, it's literally these guys patting themselves on the back further than they already are. It's a big circle jerk going on.
Yeah, I mean, on one end, people look at it as like them awarding excellence to the best films, but then the other aspect of it is people is like, oh, like it's almost like you said, they're patting each other on the back, and they're like, and it's very political. Like,
it's become like this arena of favors.
We didn't give it to you this time. But we're gonna give it to you this time. Like, we missed this group. We missed the gays this time, so we're gonna get them on the next one. Or we missed the black people that time. We're gonna get them on the next one, or type show. We did black last year, so we're not gonna fucking do it this year.
It's about favors. Like, at this point, it's like it's a bunch of IOUs, and I think it's taken away from almost the point of the awards. Like, the idea is to award excellence, and like, I'm looking at this list or whatever. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've seen a good chunk of these movies, like best films, like American Sniper, which I haven't seen. I watched Birdman, great movie, no black people in it. Watched Boyhood. I mean, I didn't watch Boyhood, but that shit looked gay. Grand Budapest is a great fucking film. Imitation Game didn't watch. Selma I watched. A lot of black people in that one. The Theory of Everything didn't watch. That shit looked stupid. And I heard a lot of things about Whiplash. Nonetheless, everybody, you could look at these fucking names. All of them are like fucking definitely European of some sort. A lot of Kleiners, Schwarzman, weird fucking last names, Irish, German descent, blah, blah. Like, nobody, like, the closest thing even with the directors, it's like
the guy from Birdman.
The Birdman director, who's some type of Latin, like, that's about it.
But also kind of, I feel like those movies too, especially in the last like 3 years, and no one's talking about like 12 Years a Slave and The Butler and some, and they kind of speak to like the level of diversity of roles for that people have in Hollywood to make these kind of movies. Like, all these different movies you name, like Budapest, Birdman, they're also drastically different with like, you know, with all these, you know, predominantly white people getting on these like different roles. Right. But these are all like all these movies that we just mentioned. All we got. They're all kind of like in this certain vein, and these are the ones that have the best shot of getting into that realm. And we can see with Selma, that doesn't necessarily guarantee it.
And well, it's like, I was reading a Variety article where they were talking about what seems like the title of his Oscar nominations exposed the Academy's lack of diversity, and the main thing they zoned in on is the whole Selma snub. But the wording is like, oh, they owed the black, like they owed these people this award, or they did it last year, so they don't feel bad anymore, or like they nominated the president of the Academy as this black lady. So we did that for them. Now we do this for us, and like it's like it's still like it's an arena of favors,
like a tokenism kind of thing.
It's bullshit. Like I just think all that you should be doing that because she was the best person for that job, right? Not because of whatever the fuck other reason. Like, okay, we can quell this if we do that kind of shit. And then you look at it, it's like I was pissed last year when it was like these movies were like damn near tailor-made to get Oscars, and they fucking just ran house. They hit on every level. The gay dudes, the fucking black people, the fucking. I was like, okay, that seems too obvious. Like, you guys are just going and you're giving everything to them. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you guys are obviously, you guys are reaching. That's the way.
Like what? Obviously, like 12 Years a Slave, but what else?
And the fucking Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh,
They gave
yeah.
the one gay AIDS fucking whatever movie. Like, okay, we got the gay guys, we got the black people. We gave a black chick Oscar too. People like that kind of stuff. And then like, but it's also, you can't win because what was it the last time that happened? It was like Denzel for being the bad guy and Holly Berry for getting drilled the fuck out by some redneck dude or whatever. It's like, damn man, you only like us when we're mean or getting fucked by the white man. It's like you can't win. But that's the problem because they're looking at it from these weird angles. Why don't you just pick the best fucking actor, best actress for the best film and whatever the fuck that even means? Because that's like open interpretation.
Well, I feel like even to quell those specific anxieties would just they offer more roles and offer more diversity of thought in these films for people instead of like these very specific.
Hey man, it's 2015. Even Captain America's black. Get with the times, man. And that bitch flies now. That never happened. But you know, props to fucking Common and John Legend. Looks like their song "Glory" got nominated for an Oscar.
That's something. They won the Golden Globe too.
And they won that, yeah. So hopefully, man, I don't want it to only seem like it's just about Selma. Like I don't give a fuck if Selma got any awards, but it's the fact that like it seems like that seemed to be the one thing that was like their one shot, and that all just got like, oh, we'll give you the little fucking Peabody Jack Off Award or whatever, and like that's kind of it. Like we gave you the nod. If you win it, just be happy, and next year just know this ain't gonna happen again or whatever. Like you guys can't give them 2 minutes. You can't give them too much, man. You give them their hand, they take your arm, kind of shit. They just need to like. Eventually, these motherfuckers are gonna die out, man. It's something like, what was it like? It's a fucking alarming number. They like did a poll like in 2012. The fucking average. In 2012 they did a poll from the same Variety report. That Oscar voters were 94% white, 77% male, and only 14% were under the age of 50.
Yeah.
Like, these motherfuckers are gonna die out. Like, as the years go on, a lot of these people have tasted the other side. You know, fucking been with a black girl, or you know, maybe fucking gave a Mexican a hand job or some shit. Like, these people have. You know, they don't look at it and strictly like, okay, we're gonna do this favor for this person. This race gets this year. Next year we'll give that race something, and maybe an Eskimo might win something some year or some shit. Like eventually, it's gonna be like people getting people shit for people's stuff. Like, but for the time being, we're stuck with these goddamn crabby ass old white people.
I mean, it should definitely be just people getting awards for the shit they do.
Right.
But I think right now because it's such a marginalized. These films are so marginalized, and these groups of people that are trying to make these type of films dealing with a mostly black cast or whatever the hell, like it's so hard and to miss these people. It's so hard to miss these things off these radars. So you do have to have a kind of special eye for it because I feel like the default for a lot of these people is just white in white movies.
Yeah.
That they won't even like be checking for it if we don't kind of put that pressure on and say, hey, look at this fucking little engine that made this movie that no one wanted to make, but still somehow managed to by the powers that be, ran to make a great movie. Being Selma, so I don't know. Basically, if you don't like Selma, you're racist.
We fast forward to today. My assistant gets an email. We would like to do a story about your involvement in the Dipset reunion from Life and Times. What is it? A site? Site's trash. A bunch of dumb big pictures and no numbers. Y'all can't move with me in this digital space.
Living in New York, you gotta love Hot 97 and the way that they do not accompany change for shit. They've had the same old heads in that fucking radio station for who knows how long. But it's not like...
You guys probably still walking around with throwback jerseys and
dude, fucking, Funk Flex still takes shits with FUBU fucking jerseys on. That guy, like switch up the peanut butter. Like, if you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do. But like this shit, like the reason we're talking about this is like Funk Flex did one of his little fucking gay speeches on his little radio show the other day, his little block, about how Jay-Z's Life and Time website had reached out to him in regards to his role in the Dipset reunion that's supposed to be coming out soon. It was announced like at the beginning of the year. They're gonna do a mixtape. They're gonna do a tour. They're gonna eventually have an album. They have all these people jumping in. Like, Swiss Beats gonna help out with the mixtape, or host a mixtape. DJ Khaled, obviously Funk Flex, old fuck ass, and he just goes on this whole thing about, I see what you're doing. You ain't going to do that to me. I know these streets and all this shit. Like, I know when, the Funk Flex app peeped that shit on iTunes, blah, blah, blah. We still do numbers in this digital game. Like, who the fuck refers to it as the digital game, you old shit? Like, fuck. But nonetheless, he's just like on this whole thing, blah, blah, blah. Like, basically he's saying in a nutshell that the people at Life and Times, which is Jay-Z's website, had bit his app when Jay-Z launched his app for his album Magna Carta Holy Grail through Samsung, and that inevitably failed because they didn't bite it enough, because if they would have done exactly like Flex did, it'd be still doing numbers, dog. Boom. And the fucking gay bomb drops. Oh my god. Anyhow, so I guess of recently, like, they tried to reach out to him to do an article or a piece about his place in the Dipset reunion, and he had to stop it right there because he saw through what they were trying to do, like. And man, whatever, man. They got a fucking diss song out now all of a sudden over goddamn Victory. Like, this whole thing is very fucking dated, and I don't even know what to say, because it seems like they're thirsty. Like, it seems like he doesn't know the way to do this shit in 2015. Like, he's like reaching back 8 years, like, damn, that was a good way to get some buzz going. Got
the 50 Cent blueprint.
Yeah, man. It's like, yo, where's that Ja Rule motherfucker at, or whatever. Like, let's go and diss the hottest guy out right now, or somebody with a little bit of stature, somebody that's been grinding or some shit. Didn't you guys have a beef with fucking Jay-Z 48 years ago? Yeah, let's strike that match again. Let's see how that shit goes, because it did so well for them last time. At least last time Jay-Z actually said their name. I don't think it's gonna happen this time.
What you gonna talk about? Money, baby, funny, baby, acting like I'm hungry, baby, talking crazy. Damn, man, I can't even feel something. Having money, that'll make you a real one. You stepped on the court, you gonna play my game. Just take shorty advice and say my name.
You heard the fucking diss song, right?
Yeah, I don't even want to call it a diss song. I mean, Camdiff had some funny lines on there, but it was definitely some struggle rap. Definitely sounds dated flow. I like Victory, but I like Victory the song, the original song, but it's definitely a dated beat. Sorry. If you're gonna come at Jay-Z, you gotta come a little better than that, in my opinion.
But I think at this point, I don't think that's not the move anymore. Like, that's not the play anymore. Like, it seems super dated. It's almost like, okay, like back in that time, like back when 60 minutes of motherfucking funk or whatever, that stupid ass, like the albums that Funk Flex used to come out with, that was the shit that was hot at the time. That was the thing. Like, people would call people out, talk shit, blah, 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 and people would, do shit on vinyl, where people will talk shit, call out names, and they would diss, and that, generate buzz and get album sales and do numbers and shit like that. And, people would be like, oh shit, he's coming out to, this guy's city. Watch out. He's going to get stabbed, shot, raped, whatever the fuck it was. Like, that shit doesn't really happen anymore. Like, all because you call someone out or you make a whatever the fuck that was like barely an insult. That's not going to generate buzz anymore. Like, that will get you a tweet or some people hating on you. Be like, man, what the fuck are you old motherfuckers doing? Like, this is what you guys are really doing? Like, why don't you just make good fucking music and find a cool way to spin it? Because that's all it really is. Nowadays, it's like creativity. Like, people want to be like puzzled on how you just introduce that music to them. Like, that whole shit, like, coming out, I'm going to diss this guy, and then we're going to generate this many millions of records or whatever, and then be like, cool. And then all of a sudden we're cool again. Like, we didn't really hate him. We just thought it was a good idea. And then, like, that was the problem, because people used to think that these people actually hated each other and shit. And like, well, one time people did, people would get shot and stabbed, and people get into fights at the record companies and shit, or what was it, the studios?
Quad Studios.
Yeah, people used to get fucked up. But then like people started like seeing like obviously 50 Cent fucked that up for everybody, but it was like he started seeing like he was just doing this to sell records. Like they saw the proof with what happened with Ja Rule, and then like every album he's dissing somebody else and talking some more shit, and then
Yeah, he basically ran that train off the rails, and that's when you knew it was over. Like the clearest example of it all, like even though he dissed a ton of people, but the clearest example of it all was when he started going against Rick Ross, and he had which would usually or would have 15 years ago been a career killer. It's like, oh man, this guy's a police officer. Everybody look at him. He used to be a CO. And then everyone's like, well, he makes good music, so I don't really care. And that's basically how this generation views things. Like, as long as you make good music, you don't care. Drake could to do a bunch of gay shit. He can have his, some news, whatever, leak of him doing some fruity shit. People are like, oh, well, he makes good music. I listen to my car when I go to the club. Yeah, who cares? Common made a hell of a response diss track on Drake.
Someone say classic.
And no one cared. Everyone was like, yep, whatever.
And that was the thing. That was the first time, like not the first time, but it was like one of those times where like that was Drake said something. Drake did something in a very vaginal way. Like obviously he didn't say Common's name. He didn't do all the things that would make you, credible or make you, a threat. You did all the vaginal things, these subliminal bars and all this shit or whatever. Everybody knew who you were talking about because you got all butthurt over that goddamn Sweet song.
I'm just hitting my pinnacle. You and pussy identical. You like the fucking finish line. We can't wait to run into you. But let me get my mind off that young rich motherfucker getting mine off rap with my niggas.
Because you sweet dog. And like, and what happens in like a day, 2 days? Common turns around on the same beat and straight shits on this guy.
Can't say my name but rap about a nigga's wife. You so black and white trying to live a nigga's life. I'm taking too long with this amateur guy. You ain't wetting nobody, nigga. You Canada dry. Soft nigga.
Speaking true facts.
Yeah, and if it wasn't a loss of quality, because the diss was definitely up to par.
And they call him thirsty.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like Ebro makes this point all the time. He's like, how then today it's cooler. It's way cooler to not care about anything and to not feel anything. Like Common made this diss, a great diss, and people are like, "Oh man, look at Common. He's thirsty. Like you're reaching, dog. Whatever. Like
he just mad because he fucking your girl, dog.
Yeah, whatever. It's like people don't want to like. People are just too cool for school, and they don't want to. It's way cooler to not care about anything. Like, oh, I don't care. He made that. Just who cares? Like,
and even weirder, like
that money.
His label try to flip it. Like, oh, with the highly controversial Sweet song and this and that, like all this shit, like they were trying to capitalize on that buzz that it got from him actually dissing him and shit like that.
Right.
It didn't do well. Like the album did not sell. Like it didn't do that good. And then it was that whole thing. Like he looked like he was reaching, but he was the one responding, and he did it in a fucking window that's fucking rare nowadays. Like that's the reason why the this kind of track has kind of died out, because no one really waits. No one's gonna wait 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, a month, or whatever for a reply. Like people would rather just revert to social media and say one clever thing or post up a meme or some stupid shit, and then be like, oh well, got him. And that's kind of it. Like Common did that shit in like 48 hours and then dropped that hot fire, and people still shat on it. So that was probably the last time that like maybe that could generate some kind of buzz, but it showed right then and there, like that avenue of moving records and like, like creating buzz for yourself is just really not as powerful anymore.
That's what probably send ripples to the industry and let people know, like, okay, I know that half black Canadian Jew is gay, but he's not to be fucked with. I want to keep my rap career. if Common would have fucking like exposed a dent in that armor, like I think more people would have went at Drake and he would not be where he's at. But because he came out that scuffle basically unscathed and more powerful than ever before, like people are just like, yep, I'm just gonna align myself with this guy. Like fuck that.
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And then even Common recently was like, hey man, it's whatever, man. I just felt kind of, I got quote unquote light skinned. I was acting light skinned because I felt like he was trying to kind of man up this and that. And he was seeing Serena and shit. And so no. Yeah,
I mean that sucks. I mean Common did what he's supposed to do. That's like it's like almost like a passing of the guard, because like he was he remained true to that era and that ideal of what hip hop is. Like,
Right.
he, like, oh, this guy's this to me, I gotta respond back, and blah blah. Like, and it just didn't get the same type of response from this generation of people that should be caring about that kind of stuff. But people just don't.
Because all the old heads love that shit. Like, I know when I heard that, I was like, about damn time somebody fucking tell this guy what the fuck is up. Goddamn Canada Dry. But if that wasn't proof enough, it's like that shit doesn't work. It doesn't help you out or whatever. Like, look at the Nicki Minaj, Little Kim bullshit or whatever. Like, Little Kim did a fucking mixtape and did all these diss tracks and all that shit, trying to like create energy and buzz off of what Nicki Minaj was doing. And she went triple wood, or what if she's even dropped an album and then she got all that fucking Play-Doh on her face, bad bot surgery, and like things have not worked out for that girl. Like, that could have been something enough, man. You just pick another avenue, man. Find a creative way to approach these things. Funk Flex, get the fuck off the mic, man. No one likes your little fuck ass anymore. Like, I can't listen to you anymore, bro. Like, there was a time where I used to really like this guy, and he used to make really good music. Like, he would bring good music together. Mm-hmm. His albums were fucking dope, but like, it seems now, like, the only time you ever hear him is like, he just sounds so fucking corny. He's like, what was it? What was the word? He's a fucking a child senior citizen or some shit like that. Like, he's
gonna let it go.
He's trying too fucking hard, man. Like, grown ass kid or whatever.
He's gonna be 50 soon, man. You gotta fucking fall back, dude.
We was gonna drown you this night. Boom. The shit he was saying, and just like, of all people, Jay-Z, really? Like, the one guy that seemed to like really help you guys' station out? Like, the one guy that is kind of, still New York? Like,
it's also whack because he also knows the one guy that's not gonna do anything back.
Exactly.
It's like throwing rocks at the throne or yelling at the moon type shit.
They got a reaction out of him last time. Mm-hmm. Like, that's probably the last time he really reacted to somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, was when the whole Cameron Dipset thing, they started all popping off or whatever. Like, the fucking We Fly remix, and like, it had the fucking it wasn't Wet Wipes. What was the one that he had, that one diss on Jay-Z? Nonetheless, like, they were all kind of throwing shots at him. And then when he dropped his Kingdom Come album, when he came out of retirement or whatever the fuck that shit was called, he had that song like 30 or something. He had Dig a Hole. Like, he had tracks he was actually calling out names and saying shit or whatever. That's the last time Jay-Z really, really went at somebody. Like, he had a little bar on the We Made It remix or whatever to Drake. But nonetheless, like, they're still making music together. They're still kind of gay for each other. Like, it's not the same thing. Like, he did that for more of the sport. This one was kind of like personal. So, but it's not going to happen now. Like, Jay-Z moves a certain way for a period of time, and then he adapts and he grows or whatever, and he changes. Like, this whole Dipset move had the potential of doing something that people wanted to see. Like, a lot of these old heads, a lot of these people that grew up in like 05 or something, 04. Like, that's the approach in itself.
All those people are just cashing in now. Like Unit, they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna ride this shit out. Like, we put in all this work back in, early 2000s. We're just gonna go and tour and play those hits that you love listening to on your way to middle school and high school. Like, this is basically all it is. And like, there's Dipsets now. It's like they're
like, Lox just did that shit too. Like, G-Unit did it just recently. Lox did.
Onyx is still touring like in Europe and shit like that. Like, there's an audience for it. I mean, the world is big enough that you can still make your money. So I'm not mad at it. But.
Yeah, you just gotta find maybe you want to find someone other than Funk Flex, little fuck ass, to really, bring this movement to life. Like, let him be behind the scenes and just let him not have any drops. Don't let him say shit. Don't let him do anything. No bomb noises. Like, obviously he made the phone calls and people have to be grateful for that, because obviously they're making moves. Like, there was talks like a year, 2 years ago, like, oh, they're in the studio with Dr. Dre now and all this shit. And people were like, that might be pretty cool. Dr. Dre Dipset a track or some shit.
I didn't hear about that.
You never heard about it? Oh, yeah. Well, that happened. And like, then that shit kind of just died. It kind of fizzled out or whatever.
Pure in full Dr. Dre fashion.
Yeah, I guess stay true. But nonetheless, like, I don't know. I think was it this year that they dropped that Dipshit song? Like, was it 2014 they dropped that Dipshit song?
Oh, yeah.
That sound was like, and it was popular. That was like dope song or whatever. And it had that Dipset sound, and he had Jewels and Cameron again and this and that. Like, that show, like, all you have to do is bring the sound back and just fucking make that kind of move in a way that people are gonna flock to it. Like, using Complex as your vessel is a smart fucking idea. Complex has a very good market and a really good reach.
Yeah, they have the audience, like, so you can cash in on your nostalgia. But they definitely should have. They kind of dropped the ball, and I feel like they should have followed it up with more stuff in the tank. If they'd have had like an arsenal of like videos and like visuals to go with the music and stuff like that, I feel like they could really had a movement behind it. But they kind of just put that out there, and it just kind of sat there, and then people just forgot.
Yeah, like, yeah, we're good, bro. I hope to hear the music. I hope the music comes out good. Like, hopefully they get a good production. Like, they get Just Blaze and a couple other guys back on it. But yeah, man, distance yourself from Funk Flex. That guy is fucking gay. That's all we got for today's podcast. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying your MLK Day. Yeah, continue to listen to us, stream us, subscribe, rate, whatever you can, spread the word. And yeah, man, you know, black people, stay strong, keep it gully.